Awesome. Perfect. So first of all, welcome everyone, the participants, judges, Shailen, and the team who organized to run this. First of all, congratulations to all the teams. The quality of the submissions this year were extremely high and very well thought out, and we can't wait to all see what improvements that you have made within the past week. First of all, my name is Jun Kim. I study at the University of Auckland. I am a law and commerce student, and I am one of the people who helped to run this competition alongside Thailand. And I'll also introduce Isabel, who is also part of the UACC team, and she also helped organize this competition. Some of you may have noticed that our club looks a little different this year, and that's because we have changed our name from the Management Consulting Club into the University of Auckland Case Club. And that was just to better capture the actual essence of what we do, the fact that we don't only and solely focus on management. The MYOB Digital Challenge was also rebranded this year from the IT Challenge to better reflect the current technological advancements and to better reflect the environment that we are currently in at the moment. With regards to the rules and the logistics of the event, the teams are all expected to stay until the end of the event. The event is expected to run from around 3 to 3.5 hours total, and that is considering presentations, Q&A, deliberations, and the transition in between the teams. To all the teams, you are given 10 minutes to present, very strictly, followed by 10 minutes of Q&A with the judges. At the 8-minute mark, I will post on the chat that 2 minutes are left. And at the expiration of that time, the final sentence can be finished until that is cut off. Right after that, we will transition straight away into the judges' Q&A. And I'll now pass on to Shailen to introduce himself and all the judges.
Excellent. Thank you, team. So for those that don't know me, my name is Shailen. I look after the education channel for MYOB, and we've had the pleasure of running this competition for 8 years now. Previously the MCC and now the University of Auckland Case Club. So it's great that you're all here. As June mentioned, congratulations on making it this far and all the best for the presentations. He's already run through the sort of logistics on your end. Please do keep the chat open so that you're aware that when the 2-minute and 1-minute timer comes up, and that will be the same for the judges. You will all have 10 minutes for the Q&A part, and again will be prompted when the 2 minutes and 1 minutes are up. In terms of our judging panel, it's great that we've got 2 returning judges and 2 new judges. So returning Darren Smith is our Chief Product and Technology Officer, and Daniel West, our Chief Sales and Support Officer. And joining them this year, we have Caroline Rawlinson, our Chief Financial Officer, and our external judge. We're grateful for Pip Gilbert from AWS New Zealand, who's the Head of Strategy and Operations, joining us. And given that we use AWS and many of you have developed your solutions on it, it's great that we can get her input as well as the MYOB executives. After each round of presentations and the Q&A, the judges will go into a breakout room to deliberate for a few minutes and then return back for the next team. And then at the end of it, the judges will share their feedback and announce the winners. Before we get going and kick off with the first team, does anyone have any questions or queries? Feel free to obviously either put them in the chat or come off mute. So if anyone has any questions, now is the time to ask. All good, excellent. So we can kick off. Good luck, everyone.
So we'll be starting with team influencers. So if you should have the ability to share your screen. And then just letting you know, we'll have Abercrombie Partners up next.
Can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Awesome, and the time will begin whenever you guys are ready.
Okay, is this showing up?
Looks all good.
Okay. So this is Influencers, an influencer marketplace connecting businesses with social media influencers. Hello, everyone. We are Team Influencers. My name is Matthew, and I'm here with Angela. And we've also got a very special guest. This is Mark. Mark has a date tomorrow night, and he needs to find a nice restaurant to go to. So there's two ways that Mark could go about finding this new restaurant. He could search out places to eat around me on Google, or two, he can go to his favorite food social media account and see what food restaurants look good. Now, I think Mark would choose option two, and a lot of people nowadays would do the same. According to Google's internal data, nearly 40% of Gen Zs prefer to search on social media apps rather than through traditional Google search. So we wondered, how can we help SMEs take advantage of this rapidly rising trend in social media to generate more revenue? So we've come up with a solution: Influencers, a web app that helps businesses connect with content creators on these social media platforms to promote their business and build their customer base. What value will our platform bring to businesses? Influencer recommendations from automated customer analytics save businesses time from researching so they can focus more time on running their business. As businesses would get promoted through an influencer's pre-existing audience, its visibility increases and it gains more potential customers. The endorsement of an influencer adds credibility to a business's reputation, making potential customers more likely to purchase their product or service. So let us present our current prototype for influencers. So this is the current website. And so this would be the landing page for a business. And so down here you can see what the AI would generate as good recommendations for influencers based on the business's niche and previous creators that I've used. So if I click on one of the influencers, you can see more information about the content creator. So more information about their followers, their ratings, and some pre-made packages for promotion deals. So you can click on one of them and a business can request a promotion deal, and then you can start talking to each other more through the messaging platform on our web app. So here you can see that a list of influencers that I've been talking to recently, and yeah, you can chat with them things. We also have up the top filters by different categories. So businesses can filter through different niches and look at influencer posts based on that niche. And business will also have a profile, and they can see previous influencers that they've used, and influencers can see more about the business as well. And yeah, settings page, back to home page. And so the architecture of our platform, will consist of 3 layers. The presentation layer, which displays the application data to the user. So here we're using React to build the prototype. And there will also be a business layer, which contains objects to execute the app's functions, and a data layer, which contains data access and communicates with the remote database hosted by Amazon Web Services.
Our platform will be aimed towards SMEs in Australia and New Zealand, working in industries like hospitality, recreation, and retail, with 120k businesses in food services and accommodation, 40k in arts and recreation services, and 160k in retail trade. This adds up to a total addressable market of 320,000 SMEs across Australia and New Zealand. To market influencers, we'll first build our presence on social media. This will not only build brand recognition for businesses, but also create hype for social media influencers. We also use influencer marketing to reach a wider audience and to raise awareness in the content creator community, which will make them more likely to join once influencers is launched. We'll also run targeted ad campaigns towards small businesses and take advantage of small business groups and events to promote influencers. To ensure our solution will be as accessible as possible, our platform will be free to use for both influencers and businesses. This will attract new users to sign up to our platform with no cost risk, which sets us apart from other influencer marketing platforms where there are subscription costs. Our revenue will be generated from a 10% commission fee on each purchase of a promotion plan. So we'll estimate our revenue assuming an initial user base of 1% of the total addressable market, with each business purchasing an average of 6 packages per year, each with a $50 commission fee. With regards to cost, we'll hire 2 software developers to develop our platform, each with a $100K salary. We'll also invest 8% of total revenue into marketing to promote our platform to both influencers and businesses. Admin costs include hosting costs, licensing costs, subscriptions, and other costs incurred in the operation of our platform. We will take out a $120K loan to cover our startup expenses, and we'll need to pay 10% interest over the following years. This graph of our projected revenue and costs over the next few years shows that we will break even during 2025 when revenue starts to exceed costs. During 2026, we will earn an expected net profit of $255,000 with a return of investment of 4.18%. Thank you for listening to our presentation on influencers, a solution to help SMEs gain traction in the market by influencer marketing.
Thank you, team. And we will now proceed to the Q&As.
Great presentation. Thank you so much. One question I had was around your pricing model. So lots of different influencers have different scale and reach. For example, if I was to pay to promote anything on Instagram, no one would pay me because I have like 6 followers or whatever. And some have, you know, millions. How does your pricing model account for that, the scale and reach of the different influencers, if at all?
So it would just be like, it's just a fixed 10% for like per package promotion plan cost. So
and do the influencers set the price of the packages that they're selling?
Yeah, they can do that.
Okay, so you guys don't set the package prices or package construct. Each influencer would set that themselves for the SMEs. Okay.
We have decided to they have like a default set of packages to like choose, but also they can customize their own.
Okay, great. Understand. Thank you.
So, hi team. Great job. So for a two-sided marketplace like this to be successful, both sides have to be able to monetize effectively. How are the I understand how the SMEs are monetizing because they're driving more customer traffic and so on, but how are the influencers monetizing their engagement with the platform or with the marketplace?
So because our platform would be targeting mostly micro influencers, so they wouldn't or traditionally now they wouldn't get as much revenue through brand deals. So like a platform like this will allow them to earn more money through these deals.
And the brands, the SMEs that they'd be promoting, or different?
Yeah, like these companies, yeah, these businesses.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I'll
Go ahead, Pip.
I'll jump in. Thank you. Do you have any sense of what these types of businesses that you're targeting are already spending on marketing, and how your pricing model compares?
So I think small businesses spend around like 10 to 30K around like on marketing. So I think for now, like we assumed each business purchases 6 packages, each for $500. So that's like 3,000. So that's a small portion of the marketing cost, and we don't know if they're like if they might increase the investment into marketing. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And do you have a sense of how they would judge whether their investment in this platform is returning value for them? How do they measure the effectiveness of this as a campaign strategy?
So like, I think because a lot of other platforms, they have subscription fees. So businesses already have to like pay a fixed cost before using the platform itself. But our platform, like, there's no subscription fee, but like, so it's measured by what the businesses pay the influencers, and so like each influencer, they have their rating systems, you know, to so that businesses can assess like the integrity and legitimacy of these content creators and see how well they're like actually promoting businesses.
Great, thank you.
And if there's time, I'll just ask one quickly, which is I'm curious as to who you perceive as competitors in this market, in this space. Who would you be competing against for customers to for businesses to do this kind of advertising?
So we looked into other similar influencer marketing platforms, and so here are a couple of our competitors in this space. The one on the left, I think, is a little bit newer, and then the one on the right is probably one of the bigger ones, and both of them have a subscription cost which is quite large. So that's probably what sets us apart from our competitors.
So primarily, price and usage is the key differentiator for you then as well. Okay.
Yeah. So businesses would be able to it would get more businesses to try out our platform because they'd get what they pay for it out of it.
Another question from me. I'm sure someone will cut us off at some point with questions. How do you stop people circumventing the ecosystem? So, for example, really successful marketplaces kind of try and keep people in that ecosystem. What's going to stop me using an influencer once and then continuing to use them outside of your platform and avoiding paying you 10%?
So I think we haven't really yet considered that feature yet, but in the future, our plan might be to look into regulations and measures to when like as a condition on the sign up, I guess, for the businesses.
Yep, it's a really hard one that lots of marketplace businesses struggle with. Thank you.
We still have about 3 minutes until
Okay.
Q&As, but if there are...
I will jump in with another
yeah.
question if we've got time.
Awesome.
You've talked about a wide range of functionality. Do you have a set of minimum functionality that would be good to launch with? Like, can you scope it down to what's actually deliverable to get you out in the market? And what would those key functions be?
Yeah, so probably our key function would be to use our model to suggest which influencers would be suitable for the business's niche. A key feature that we had on our website was the messaging, but that can be exchanged for like communication through emails or maybe just through the platform. So that wouldn't necessarily be needed in our initial release. But yeah, mainly suggestions for influencers.
Great, thank you.
Can you tell us a little more about the packages that the influencers would be, from what I heard, be responsible for putting together? So what are these packages? Is the onus on them to develop them based on the the SMEs, the business that they're recommending? How do you see that working?
So like the influencers will put up packages on offer on their profile, like for example, like an Instagram photo, like showcasing the business's like product. So they're like I guess they're just selling these offers, and a business can come along to this influencer's profile and see this package that they might want. So they request for that package. Then after that, like the influencer and businesses will communicate to see how the deal will work and exactly how it will be implemented. So is that like what you want? Or?
I was just curious about the concept of these packages and what that actually means. So thank you.
What do you guys see as the biggest risk? Like if this was to fail, why would it have failed?
So I think a big risk is because a low traffic. So at first there'll be few influencers using the platform. So so businesses will have like there's a lower diversity in options, and so it will be less useful for businesses. So to try to like increase generate traffic, we'll use marketing and rewards, like to try to incentivize influencers to use the platform. And yeah, and because our platform is also free to use, this is also like an attractive point for influencers and businesses to use this platform.
All right, thank you very much, team, and thank you to the judges. We will now move the judges into a separate breakout room. Thank you, team.
Thank you.
Shailen, did you want to go with the judges or stick around?
I'm happy not to join, so I'm just observing. Thank you.
Oh, okay, sure.
Thanks, Isabel.
And same here with me, Isabel. I'm just observing as well. It's Gavin.
Okay, sure. Thanks. So the team up next is Abercrombie Partners, and they'll be followed by team MAVV. So just if you're all ready to go, team Abercrombie, you should be set to share your screen.
Yep, I'll just share my screen now in that case.
Thank you.
Jonathan, sorry, can you share your computer sound?
Oh, yep, thanks.
Yeah, you might need to reshare. Thank you.
This meeting is being recorded.
So are we all ready to?
I think so. It looks like we're all back. I think
Great.
the judges are back.
Great. Okay. So Abercrombie Partners, take it away when you're ready.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're Abercrombie Partners from the University of Sydney. I'm Sophia, and presenting with me today are Jonathan and Andrew. Unfortunately, one of our team members, Jimmy, won't be able to join us today. So a bit of background information. Our goal in this project is to provide an efficient inventory management system for small to medium enterprises in the food and beverage industry. The lack of proper inventory management system in such businesses has led to higher expenses and food wastage. Our proposed system is affordable and user-friendly, tackles reduction of food waste while still generating profits. Food wastage caused by such inefficiencies can be as high as 10% of the raw ingredients purchased by restaurants even before they reach customers. There's also a mismatch between demand and supply, which can lead to shortages or surpluses, which then lead to higher costs, including holding and wastage costs. These contribute to the overall inefficiencies and in the supply chain management and business operations. So with that in mind, we explore the current situation and existing solutions in our target sector. First, most inventory management software available are actually catered toward big businesses, and these can be very costly for SMEs. Second, there's a need to find compatible systems for a smooth integration of inventory management systems. Otherwise, there will be additional costs incurred. Lastly, employing these complicated software is also likely to incur additional technical training costs for staff. So poor inventory management strongly indicates the challenges in tracking inventory. Manual inspections, such as checking expiration dates, are prone to human error, which leads to inaccuracies in inventory analysis. And again, most inventory management systems are designed for large companies, so they're too complex and expensive for SMEs. Inefficient inventory management also has financial implications, particularly when supplies are wasted. Therefore, it's really important for SMEs to have inventory management systems that help meet their needs, but are still financially accessible. So to address all of these issues, we propose Stocked. Stocked is a cloud-based inventory management system providing an increased visibility of inventory, refined forecasting analytics, and a cost-effective system designed specifically for SMEs' financial capacities. All of these while being easily accessible through devices such as tablets. Stock focuses on two aspects of inventory management. First, we've got the tracking of inventory, which will use QR codes and the first expiry, first out system. This aspect provides an update of how much inventory is available. And we also have forecasting of inventory, which would help in avoiding overstocking or understocking of future inventory by using data collected, such as the turnover of specific goods. So how do we implement Stock? Well, when we receive inventory from suppliers, we issue QR codes that encode their expiry dates and the quantity of goods in a batch. In the stock room, they are organized based on which items are expiring first. So here we can see the second batch, or the newer batch, and the first batch, which has a remaining inventory of 5. When we scan QR codes, when the goods are taken out of the stock room, they are scanned and then the data is updated to reflect the current status of inventory, and this is seen in the stock levels. And here we can see the first batch of goods with the total remaining inventory of 3. We also receive notifications and alerts for low inventory, unexpected fast usage, for items expiring soon, and restocks. Here we can view the analytics where over time collected information is used to visualize internal demand and the movement of goods. Therefore, any adjustments needed can be created more accurately in response to various factors such as supply delays, menu changes, or even inflation. We also have a wastage tracker where we can see that the graph beginning at when our solution is first implemented. It is then expected to decrease over time as businesses progress with the use of our solution. Now, I'll be passing back on to Andrew to talk more about our solution and the cloud architecture.
Thank you, Sophia. So there are three values that our solution can add. First is more efficient inventory spending. A McKinsey study found that an inefficient supply chain costs 30 to 50% of profit during supply chain disruptions. Second is to reduce perishable food waste, contributing to the United Nations aim of halving food waste by 2030. Third is that our system can provide better internal controls, which is correlated to organizational performance. Now let's move on to the architecture of Stocked. We'll host it in AWS Cloud within a given region, and inside it is AWS Lake Formation, which is a fully managed service to easily build, secure, and manage data lakes. First, data collected from Stocked, such as those from scanning QR codes, will be collected in Amazon S3 landing bucket, which is a simple data storage. Combined with other customer systems, we can use Amazon API Gateway for integration. With AWS Lambda, an automated workflow will then be run, denoted by AWS Step Functions workflow. The data from the landing bucket will then feed into two processes: the demand forecast model, which predicts future demand, and Amazon SageMaker, which determines overall inventory health, including expiry dates of items. The output data will then be collected in an output bucket and connected with Amazon Athena JDBC driver to allow for reporting and business intelligence, a feature of Stocked. Finally, the demand forecast and inventory model will provide model performance metrics to then be analyzed using Amazon EC2 to determine the predictive capability of the model. This can then be given to the procurement team to determine if the model is accurate and if any changes are necessary. Do note that this architecture diagram is simplified. Should further detail be required, we have a more comprehensive diagram in an appendix. Now, moving on to the development timeline of the software. Assuming that we start from today, our current project timeline takes place over roughly 24 weeks, and a functioning service should be available by early 2023. The first 6 to 12 weeks is spent designing the app itself, essentially planning the back end of our application and planning its user interface. The next 12 to 14 weeks is spent developing, testing, and deploying this app. Past this, the app will continually be maintained and updated by these developers. I'll now hand over to Jonathan to talk about risk.
Thanks, Andrew. So with any strategy, there are risks involved. First is the lack of training data in the early versions of the software, which may cause poor predictive capability and inaccuracies. We can mitigate this by outsourcing and using trials to collect training data. Second is connectivity issues, which makes the software unable to collect accurate real-time data. This can be mitigated by creating an offline mode, whereby the software will function based on the last known information and synchronize with the cloud once connection is restored. For marketing, we will use social media advertising. Numerous marketing channels can be used, such as Facebook, YouTube to create multimodal presentations, and LinkedIn, which is well suited for B2B marketing, which is optimal since our primary target is the SME market. Existing MYOB marketing channels can also be used. We have broken down the marketing cost as follows. In our first year of operation, marketing costs will almost reach 80,000 due to initial setup costs and to establish market position, before dropping to about 25,000 in 2024. A full cost and profit breakdown is available in the appendix. Speaking of profit, to cater for low profit margins within the F&B industry, our product is designed to be as accessible as possible. Therefore, we aim to sell our product as a subscription for $40 per month. Compared to our competitors, our product has a cost leadership advantage. An inventory tracking system with predictive analysis provides more value than a comprehensive ERP to smaller F&B firms. Assuming the number of food and beverage establishments repeats historic growth of 6%, and Stocked can capture 1% of this market share every year until 2027, the following revenue forecast is created. We expect revenue to reach 970,000 by 2027. We can then look at the costs and profits of our solution. In addition to the marketing costs, we expect to hire 2 full-stack developers, use server and cloud hosting services, and incur other overhead costs, such as legal, HR, and customer service, which can all be outsourced. Despite these costs, the app should remain profitable in the long run, achieving an expected profit of 680,000 in 2027. In summary, our solution Stocked is a low-cost inventory management for SMEs in the food and beverage industry that improves efficiency by optimizing stock levels and minimizes food wastes, and provides better internal control, reducing occurrences of fraud. So that concludes our presentation. Thanks for watching.
Thank you very much, team. We will now head on to the Q&A session.
Great job, team. Really good presentation. Who would you see as your, well, I guess, who would you see as your key competitors for this offering, especially given that MYOB has an inventory management solution today?
So I guess our key competitors, if we go back a few slides, would be Oracle and SAP Business One. They're just providers of ERP to small businesses as well. And we're hoping that with a specifically tailored inventory system that's cheap and easy to use, it'll simplify many of the functions and provide more values at a lower cost to our small businesses.
And how would you see that integrating with our current product solution?
I guess we could offer it, we could have it as a separate product offering for small businesses.
Okay. Thank you.
Did you look at all at the failure rate of food and beverage retail type businesses to help you understand the potential churn you might have in your customer base?
We didn't go into so much detail, but yeah.
I think if I can jump in.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, that's true that we have not looked into the failure rates of F&B, SMEs in the F&B industry. But I think based on the total addressable market earlier, I think we're not exactly chasing for a large business. Once again, I think we're focusing more on the quantity. It's our solution, once again, is meant to be a low cost and a user-friendly solution. So naturally, our focus is reaching, getting the quantity, getting the market.
Okay, thank you.
I noticed in the imagery you had fresh food in there. How the holy grail really is a pasture to plate tracking system, so I can know when I'm sitting in a restaurant eating a piece of beef which farm it came off, to use a very New Zealand centric analogy. How do you plan on attaching a QR code to, say, I saw in the imagery it was in kind of a crate? Does your solution envisage crates, kind of SKUs or stock sizes for this, or do you envisage its individual kind of cabbage, to use your metaphor? Like, I'm just wondering practically the application of this to particularly kind of fresh food.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes. So in terms of the like putting into the QR codes, so we are going in by batches, and then for each batch we know how much specific goods are in each batch, and so there's basically like the QR code for the batch, and whenever an item is used, that's when we make changes to the actual batch itself, just so we know that a specific item is being taken out of that batch.
So an item in this case is one cabbage has come out of the batch of cabbages. And do you have how do you know that in your system that cabbage has been removed? Has that cabbage got a QR code on it?
So for the wireframe, there's actually an option, so when they remove it, they can click an updated version. So the cabbage itself does not have like a specific QR code, but it would be manually changed in terms of like the batch itself. So there we've got the number of inventory that's been used, and we can update it through that.
Okay, and that's someone. I'm just trying to work out practically how that works. Is that the person at the checkout? Like if I'm working and I'm picturing my local small independent grocer who's got this box of cabbages. The checkout person has kind of sold me a cabbage. They would then reduce the stock levels of that particular box.
Yes, or that's one case. And it could also be, for instance, in the restaurant. So when a chef prepares the meal, then they would also be able to access the updates.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So you talked during the presentation about your marketing, plans, but you didn't really talk about selling. And given that for these, for these businesses, their management of their inventory is is critical to their success or failure, right? If a restaurant runs out of food on a busy night, that's going to be a problem. So it's unlikely that they're going to buy something purely, just through marketing alone. Can you talk a little bit about how you're planning to actually sell the solution?
Yep, I can answer that. So, well, our plan to sell the solution is based on the marketing channels as well, as mentioned before, social media, and also which can refer to potentially MYOB's website or a separate website just for our solution. So that'll be how we sell it. Well, we currently don't have multiple plans, as you can see. We just use a standard plan, $40 per month, but we can also include potentially in the future free trials and cheaper, let's say, discounts within the first few months. But generally speaking, I think it will be online based as of now.
Okay, so you wouldn't see you having a direct sales channel that's engaging directly with these businesses to sell the software.
Mm-hmm. As in coming in person to F&B,
or even a digital sales channel, so via phone or virtual meeting, etc.
That is possible, but we haven't exactly considered or included that in our current solution. But it's always possible. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And I'll just jump in quickly. I noticed that you in the wireframes you kind of used a kind of a template for an iPad or a tablet kind of thing. Is the expectation for this to be a mobile first application, or is it accessible through desktop? And if so, are there benefits one way or the other from a cost perspective in terms of getting this to market?
So we plan for it to be accessible through various devices. So it could be a tablet. It could also be through like a desktop, as you mentioned, or a laptop. Phones are also it's also something that we have considered, but I think it's a lot easier for businesses to be working on with tablets and laptops as opposed to like a handheld mobile phone.
And from that perspective, is there, I guess, just from a technology selection perspective, are we looking, would that increase the costs the way that we choose it, having to support multiple different types of devices, or do we have a strategy to kind of mitigate that or minimize the costs for supporting different technology choices?
Yes, I guess so. It would be included in the costs, initial costs, in terms of like we have to, have like such technological devices. And so perhaps one strategy that we could implement is obviously figuring out how much is actually needed for, let's say, a restaurant. So we wouldn't want to supply too many technological devices for the purposes of our solution, without having a gauge of how many devices they actually need. So I think that would hopefully mitigate, buying too much devices.
I might add on to that as well. So we do have like 2 full stack developers. So it is possible that they, along the way, develop updates and make this app compatible for other devices. But I think our focus would be for tablets and laptops, because as Sophia mentioned, those are the main devices that SMEs would typically use.
Thank you. I think we're almost at time, so I won't start another question there. Thank you.
Thank you.
But good job all on that as well. So thank you for that.
Thanks, team.
All right, thank you very much, team. And now we will allow the judges to deliberate in a separate breakout room.
So I think you should still have access to the breakout room if you click the breakout rooms icon. So up next, we've got team MAVV. If you'd like to get your screen sharing ready in the next 5 minutes or so, and then followed by that, we'll have a 10-minute break after the judges have deliberated a bit, and then we'll have team Kroken present next after the break.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right, looks like everyone's back. So whenever you're ready, team.
Ready. Managing numbers isn't easy. It requires skills, effort, and precision. It's not something everyone can do, or is it? Inside Intelligence, we aim to assist small to medium-sized enterprises to gain insights from numbers and achieving their goals by providing functions such as industry comparison, goal setting, and tips for improvements. Ultimately, know yourself well, understand your competitors better. We're a team MYOB, a team of students from the University of Auckland. We aim to use technology to make people's work easier and opening up the opportunity for people to engage with the business world. According to research, SMEs usually face a challenge of inefficiency. This can stem from lack of resource, such as finance, skilled labor, and market information. Without resources and guidance, they are not able to adapt to rapidly changing market demands and trends. They also struggle with measuring businesses' performance and employees' performance. Having these challenges usually lead to SMEs' loss in competitiveness in the market and not meeting their financial goals. From this problem, our target market will be some of the SMEs that account for 83% of the industry, which is approximately 2.45 million businesses in New Zealand and Australia combined. At the initial stage, we will primarily focus on businesses that offer tangible products, such as restaurants, cafes, and retailers. Now, who can be an example of our target market? Meet Ray. Ray is great at running her cafes. She proved her capability through opening up several cafes over the years. However, even though she has talent in running cafes, she has no idea about finance and getting insights from these numbers for improvements. Nor does she have the time to do a degree in accounting. This makes her cafe not running as well as she would like. Sounds like she needs to hire an experienced accountant like Kimmy. Kimmy is good at managing numbers in Excel, producing nice graphs, giving analysis and advice, and Kimmy has extensive knowledge of the industry. But you probably think Kimmy is too expensive for Ray to hire, but you're wrong. What about a Kimmy in your pocket? Inside Intelligence. Know yourself well, understand your competitors better. To achieve this, we provide three main functions: goal setting, tips for improvements, industry, and self-comparison. Now, Melon will take you through how these functions will make an impact on Ray's business.
So today, Ray decided that she wanted to launch a new product, raspberry muffins. She goes to Inside Intelligence. Here is her personal information, and more importantly, tailored business information for her target industry. She wants to know the finance details to launch a new muffin. Here she goes to the finance page, enters some cost details of making a new muffin, and we can then calculate a break-even goal for her. She likes the number and thinks that it will be useful, so she added this to her new goals to use our goal setting function. Insight Intelligence helps Ray to achieve her business goals. Through collecting data about her own business, Ray can set short-term and long-term financial goals, and Insight Intelligence can recommend steps to achieve her goal. Ray can also set and track goals for her employees to manage employee performance and see how employees are meeting their goals, targets, and KPIs. Here, she names her new goal. Then she wants to see how her short-term consumer goal is doing, so she clicks in to see the detailed breakdown of it. And she realizes that her cafe's performance is not as good as her goals. She wants to see some tips provided by Insight Intelligence. These tips give Ray several options that, all things being equal, will put a business facing similar problems onto a better position. Ray then can consider her business' own situation to choose how to adapt these tips for a more suitable result. For future development, we can analyze Ray's specific business activities, combining with other similar business strategies to provide more tailored and accurate tips using AI technology towards her cafe's performance. After looking at her cafe's performance, she wonders how well her cafe is doing compared to the average industry market. She goes to the industry and self-comparison page. With aggregated user data, Ray can compare how well her cafe is doing in terms of revenue, cost, and ROI, compared to other cafes that target the same consumer market. Ray can also choose to compare her cafe with others from different locations or having a different product range. She can also choose to compare data with other cafes that she owns to see why one cafe is doing better than the other, and draw insights and make changes to effectively learn what she can do better. She is interested in seeing her revenue breakdown compared to aggregated industry data. She realizes there are some differences, and she can also see some tips for improvements. With Insight Intelligence, Ray will be able to save time and resources, achieve her goals more economically. Meanwhile, with access to industry perspectives, Ray can constantly compare and improve. Ultimately, we improve business efficiency, achieving her goals in a way that requires less time, money, and resources. Let's talk about how Insight Intelligence Cloud Service can be done. There are several different components that produce Insight Intelligence Service. They will all be hosted on Amazon Web Service AWS that provides many cloud servers for efficient use. Simply put, our architecture starts off with users signing in using Amazon Cognito, which allows users to sign in with familiar applications such as MYOB, Google, or Facebook. Using Lambda, we can run code that transforms data from one depository to another. In this case, Lambda will help us integrate data from MYOB. We will use AWS SageMaker to build highly accurate financial models. We can even adapt these models to make it fit best with the data we are using. When we first launch, we will use a dataset from StatsNZ to derive an industry average. As we gain more users, we will add our users' data into that database. These models will then be displayed in a high-quality format from SageMaker using React for a clean, professional look that is easy for our customers to understand, which will all be stored in our own DynamoDB database. In the competitor analysis, comparing to our current existing solutions in the market, Insight Intelligence is not only about making things simple and easy to use, but also about having functions that are not yet present in other solutions. As shown in our app demonstration, Insight Intelligence provides an industry comparison capability that is specific and up to date. With the goal setting function, it also helps users get closer to their goals for not only their businesses, but also their employees. With all these functions, users can then take a step further to receive AI-generated tips from Insight Intelligence for further improvements.
Tracksuit is a market insight software designed for brands to analyze their customer awareness and the success of their marketing campaigns. We have a simple layout and targeted insights in common. However, Tracksuit has more of an external focus, while we have more of an internal focus, looking at financials and to increase efficiency and productivity. More importantly, Tracksuit's success in the marketing industry shows us there is strong consumer demand for such a technology. For marketing, we will be utilizing social media marketing and to push targeted ads to our customer demographic. We'll also use LinkedIn and Google services to maximize these results. We'll also work with local businesses and networking groups to help us advertise directly to business owners. Our geographic segmentation will be targeted towards the Australasian market with an initial focus in NZ and with further expansion into Australia in 2023. Looking at cost breakdown, we can see that talent cost makes up a large proportion of our expenses. This is because the top employees in the industry are in high demand, and so we must pay well to attract quality workers. Our measurable goal is to achieve 20,000 users by 2027. This graph modules our customer acquisition goal for our first 5 years of operations. We decided these goals are attainable due to the size of the Australasian market with 155,000 SMEs in New Zealand and 2.3 million in Australia. Furthermore, there is widespread acceptance of accounting software such as MYOB with 1.2 million users and Xero with over 3 million. The graph models our projected revenue and costs based on our customer acquisition goals and a subscription rate of $15 per month. In our first 2 years, we'll incur a loss due to the startup costs. However, if we meet our target of 8,000 customers by 2024, we will move into profitability. Our cost curve is likely to increase as we expand our operations since we will tend to use more resources as we grow. The return on investment from year 0 to year 5 is 46%. Following the timeline, we will develop our web-based solution with input from legal and accounting professionals in early 2022, ready for launch by the end of the second quarter. We will develop the app-based service launch in Q1 2023 and Q3 2023 will collect user feedback and plan changes to implement via 2024. In early 2026, we'll implement a premium service with additional features for release by the end of that year. And at the end of each year, we'll reevaluate our goals and set strategic changes for what need to be made. Thank you so much for your time and the opportunity to present in this competition. We'd love to hear your questions.
Thank you very much, team. We'll head straight into the Q&A.
I'll jump in. Thank you for that. That was very well done again. So, I think we could jump into anything, but let me just start with one of the last slides first. I think that finance slide, the cost slide. You talked about it kind of increasing with time, but I'm curious, as you add more customers, I don't see the costs kind of going up. Do you expect to see support, sales, or other costs in addition to compute costs to go up in any material way as you start to scale out your number of customers?
Okay. So we think, so of course there's a computer cost, so like the AWS, the cloud system, that will increase the cost, but also hiring more employees. So as we scale up, hiring additional employees to help develop new features and increase our growth to achieve those new sales targets of getting more customers. So we can continually redefine and develop our product to make it more attractive to those customers.
Thank you. And then you talked about in the timeline engaging with legal and finance advisors and accountants at that early stage to get tips. What's your expectation there? Is that just through engaging? Are you bringing on people to be able to do that as a full-time role to create content for this application, or is it pretty much set at the start and just rinse and repeat as we go forward?
So at the start, we're going to have consulting with lawyers and accountants. We'll also bring some onto our team, but they're basically just helping us mitigate any legal or accounting risk to make sure that our information is correct and true, and we're not going to open ourselves to any liability with our customers using these.
So, oh, sorry, Pippa, were you about to ask a question?
I was, but it's okay.
Go
You can
ahead.
go.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask how you're going to populate the tips, like how you're going to generate the content that fills in that tips section.
Thank you for the question. At the start, we'll use some very general tips that works for most businesses in the industry. However, as the users use it more, we'll have more data from the user and understand their businesses better, and with more other users using it as well. So our tips will be more tailored to their business as their business develop.
Thank you.
Hi team, nice job. So as you may know, there is a large kind of ecosystem of accountants and bookkeepers that influence, this market of SMEs, particularly as it relates to accounting and how they best run their business and so on. A lot of the types of questions that you're looking to automate, or a lot of those insights, are actually done by these, by bookkeepers, by accountants today. So how would you see that ecosystem fitting into your strategy? Are you looking to disintermediate them? Are you looking to leverage them in some way? Can you walk us through that a little bit?
Yes, no problem. We definitely acknowledge these workers because I don't think any technology at this moment can yet compare to human intelligence. For example, the advice they can give is definitely can be better than machines. But what we do is not substituting those accountants. What we do is we work with them. In terms of the tips, we provide some general directions for owners. For example, they can be good at running cafes and good at designing machines, but they might not have those basic business knowledge. So we can provide some general directions for them to adapt according to their business situation. But if they have more questions, then they can hire accountants or talk to accountants for more detailed and tailored tips for their business.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And sorry, team, maybe you covered this off, but how does the data get into the system for which the analysis and tips occur?
So that's where we're going to be using software like AWS Lambda and SageMaker to link it with the stats, to begin with Stats NZ. to be able to make sure that the data is able to be coagulated efficiently throughout the whole section. So we'll be gaining data through MYOB to begin with also. And so users who have that information already in MYOB, it will be linked in with our product as well. And then through that, the data will be gathered through AWS Lambda in the short end here to be able to join those data together to actually add and to be able to create those tips.
Okay, so data that's stored in kind of MYOB ledgers as well as supplemented by third-party kind of externally sourced data.
Yeah, also throughout the usage of the app, you will be able to in the business side of it, you can input more data as you're going as well. So be able to link the two things again using Lambda.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Makes sense. Great idea.
And one more from me. At the start, you talked about focusing in first on tangible product businesses. I'm curious as to why you selected that segment and how that changed or informed your strategy.
The reason why we choose tangible products is because it's easier for them to enter numbers and aware of those values. For example, providing services like engineering consulting, it's hard to actually put down the numbers of amount of work they do or the quality and put a money value on the work they do. So initially, our product is more suited for those tangible products, services. But moving on, we will definitely learning from our experience with dealing with current customers and then improve our service range and be more adaptable to intangible products businesses.
Thank you.
So you talked at the very outset, actually, on this slide about the core problem you're solving is to improve efficiency. I'm curious though, what's your why? Like, why is that? Why do you think that's important to solve that particular problem?
No problem. I'll answer that question. Because, for example, Ray, when she realized her business is running not as well, she doesn't have to go through a bunch of numbers and trying to figure out a reason why it's not doing so well. So our app will provide a very visual and standout salient data to tell her which exactly is not doing as well as, for example, her auto chain store. And other than that, she can also get tips that we provide to effectively improve if she doesn't have those, for example, business knowledge.
Okay. I would also suggest that, if you're able to improve the efficiency of SMEs, which make up the vast majority of both the Australian and New Zealand economy, that can have a huge macroeconomic benefit, which is, I think, something that if you're going to be a founder, you've got to be passionate about what it is the mission you're trying to take on. Thank you.
So we do have around 2 minutes left. Are there any further questions for the team?
Could you say a few more words on the marketing strategy? Because I think the idea is great. How are you going to get over that initial hurdle of kind of attracting people to the tool? And is there anything, and to Daniel's question earlier, the role that the bookkeepers may or may not play specifically in that, because there is the risk that it makes them feel nervous, right? If this is offering some of the solution that they used to offer.
Yeah, so in the marketing role, so obviously we've got the social media marketing, so we'll be advertising on Meta's platforms like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Google. So these are common places where businesses have a presence for their own personal marketing. But I think more an interesting one is looking at the networking community side of it. So that'd be like going in person to local networking groups and talking face to face with business owners. You can hear what their problems are, what their concerns may be of it. We could even take that on board and make changes for it. And in regards to working with accountants, we want this as a tool for business to work with accountants, not replace accountants. So it'd be kind of give you an idea before your accountant sees it. So quite common is you'd get like an annual review, your annual income statement. So you only see these data sets every year. Whereas this is really good for short term, every week, every day, every month. You'll be able to see any trends that are picking up and make changes for operations, not just for the entire year.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Thank you very
right,
much.
thank you very much,
Thank you,
team.
guys.
That concludes the first half of our MYOB Trans-Tasman Digital Challenge Finals. So while the judges deliberate for Team MAVV, the rest of you guys will have time, 15 minutes to be exact. So we will be back on here at 3:45 to restart the final half of the competition. So thank you very much, team. And the judges will now be put into breakout rooms once again. And during this break also, Isabel and I will be here. So feel free to ask us any questions on the chat that you want to know more about. And yeah, 15 minutes break.
Just letting everyone know, I think our break is ending in a few minutes. If Team Kroken's on and would like to start sharing your screen.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, so the time is 3:45. I'm just checking are all the judges here and ready to go?
They're all back.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And take it away, Team Kroken.
Oh, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, judges and fellow friends. We are Team Kroken. We're here to present One Team, which is a centralized platform for tasks, teams, and project management. We'll be addressing the challenges of team and project management, which includes quoting, scheduling, tracking, and document management.
All right, so let's first take a look at how team and project management is currently done. Firstly, in most cases, different teams do work on different platforms, even for similar or overlapping functions, and these platforms don't always integrate well. As a result of this, all things related to the work, such as the documents, tasks, and timelines, are detached from one another. So these practices waste both time and money. Based on the stats that we looked at, employees use around 14 different apps daily, even for like similar or overlapping functions. It's reported that 50 days per year are wasted doing menial tasks, such as manually copying data and cross-checking the completion of tasks. And this makes companies lose an estimate of $1.65 million per year for every 100 employees that they have. And lastly, despite already spending so much time on these, 59% of business leaders still complain that they have difficulty in keeping track of employees' general performance.
Let's look at it from a helicopter view. The overall problem is due to the inefficiency in project, teams, and task management. Here below is a sample of a digital agency organizational structure. Let me explain in more depth on what these inefficiencies are. The efficiencies are caused by, firstly, ineffective supervisions towards existing various projects. Most allocation of resources towards projects are not centralized. Project managers often end up with incompatible resources as background checks were inaccurate. Secondly, errors often occur due to lack of communication and poor task management within the hierarchy of employees. This is because different divisions of team use different tech stack. A simple example would be some uses Slack and others uses Discord. This causes disconnection between the teams, especially when a person is involved in two divisions and that person have to go back and forth with Slack and Discord. That causes the miscommunication. Secondly, deadlines are often stacked up, which in result can be missed or forgotten. Next is the possibility of having two documents or resources which should have the same content but become different because of not knowing which document is latest released. And lastly is the absence of accountability. This may occur because of unclear rules, which may also impact the transparency in employees tracking performance. And so, one team is presented to solve these project management issues. One team has the ability to do search and explore existing jobs, tracking work progress, especially tasks that are dependent from inter-teams, be a central place to store documents with its controlled validation, and lastly, a centralized chat function, which is crucial for the integration communication between employees and resources. And now Tabitha is going to show the demo of our application.
Yeah, so this is Tim Hudson. He's an employee at a digital agency. As an employee, he can look at jobs that are still in need of team members, such as Tom's milk bar over here, and he can see a short description of the project as well as the skills they're accepting and who to contact should he decide to take on the project. He can also look at the project he's currently a part of, such as MYOB. And in this dashboard, he can see a more detailed description of the project that is only available to the team members. And he can check out the current task board in different views, such as the timeline view, where he can get a better understanding of the timelines of the projects and its dependencies. He can also add a new task, like so. And next, he can go to the board view, and in the board view, it's a better way of seeing the state of each task. Let's take a look at task 185. So the task board follows an agile workflow. So we can check out the priority and complexity of each task, its dependencies, and as we saw earlier in the timeline view, as well as the documents associated to it. So if you go to the documents, they're also stored within the project. And next we have the chat function, which we haven't been able to implement in our prototype, but it will look something like this. So a team member can chat to everyone in their project or so to their other projects they're a part of. And lastly, we go back to the dashboard. We can see that there's an export report button. And here is where we generate the KPI report. We generate insights of the project and its progress. For now, it's just a template, but when we do have actual teams and projects going on, that will be generated from the project itself. Yeah, thank you. And so our solution is unique, as it has all the features to create a centralized platform for all team management needs, and it streamlines the process. It automates generating custom reports for clients and stakeholders, and it also promotes efficient allocation of resources. So this is our tech architecture. We'll be utilizing a lot of AWS services, such as Amazon Incognito for security and authentication. We'll break down our app functions into microservices on AWS Lambda, and our data will be sitting on Amazon DynamoDB. We'll be using Cloudflare for hosting and React for front end and Node.js for back end. We'll be running a B2B business model. So our app can be used by industries such as digital agencies, consulting companies, tendering management companies, and basically any other SMEs that need to manage teams and projects. We will be addressing digital agencies in particular, though. We will advertise our solution on social media and make the app be available on MYOB Marketplace and also run user testings during our beta version launch.
So we provide 3 choices regarding the subscriptions that the companies can choose. All will have the 24/7 support, as we would like to ensure strong brand relationship with customers. Differences between the models are shown in the amount of storage, the customization of the KPI report and chat system, and also the security authentication for our app.
We also have a breakdown of our costs and revenue for the first 5 years. So in the initial stages, we'll be running a user trial run with our beta version, and it's tested by 50 businesses, and we assume that they average out to 20 employees each, which is the number for small to mid-sized digital agencies. And we're assuming that they're paying for our standard subscription, which is $10 per month per employee. There will be we are also following a ground-up approach for our solution. So we will hold on to our marketing before our 5th year of launch. And also our target is around 6% of the available market. So we are targeting around 500 companies from the 9,063 digital agencies, and we'll reach that number by our 5th year of launch. Here is our projection for our revenue, cost, and profit. So we project to break even between our 2nd and 3rd year of launch.
We have made a competitor analysis for existing project management softwares. Although Gantt charts and document storage are available in listed companies, one team stands out with its ability to export custom KPI report, having a centralized chat and resource allocation at one application. Despite similar business model plan, one team is one step ahead in terms of understanding clients' pain, customers' pain, and providing targeted solution towards the issue. The 3 risks that we have identified in SaaS startups are firstly, data security. It is very crucial to keep the data security of our customers. In order to mitigate that, we're going to impose a clear policy and training of employees when handling sensitive data. Secondly, financial risks. As an early stage startup, it is crucial to have the ability to plan and manage cash flows while still meeting the company goal and objectives. And lastly, it is the risk of making the company growing too fast or too slow. We would like to have the attitude to take one step back and have slow growth thinking. By this, emphasizing on strong brand and customer relationships.
As for our roadmap and timeline, our plan for February of next year is to complete the MVP and release the beta version in April of the same year. After this launch, we will also start raising capital and gain partnerships while receiving feedback from the user trial run. The plan for launch is January of 2024.
Thank you, and now we're receiving for any questions.
Thank you, team. Q&A time will start now.
Thank you, team. I guess my first question is with regards to the competitive landscape. I mean, this is a problem that has been many vendors have attempted to solve for years, and it's a very crowded market with very well established and well funded competitors, both the ones you have that you listed as well as probably several others. What made you choose this space to try and break into what is already a very hard-fought competitive landscape?
Yeah, so I used Monday.com myself. I've used ClickUp.com myself before, and I've seen that because they're such a very large enterprises, they have kind of a difficulty in understanding what me and my used to be company working as pain problems, and they can't solve it right away. And because we're such an early startup, that's what we're focusing on, is to receive a lot of feedback and immediately trial and run it immediately to the customers.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And just interested in why the digital agency was the first area or sector of the market you kind of focused on targeting?
I think the reason for us choosing digital agencies over the other industries was we did have this industry in particular in mind when we were discussing the solution and building the solution, and we were advised like it would be better for us to limit our niche into like a certain industry only, so that we can build the solution particular to that industry itself, instead of building a general solution that might not be as useful for all the industries.
No, I think that's a really good way to start, is by focusing in around one, but why digital agencies as opposed to a different kind of starting point, I guess was more my question.
Yeah, in addition to that, it's because we both have experiences in digital agency. We both were from like feeling the problem and issues of digital agencies with project managements.
Yep.
And also for tendering process, it requires more expertise in order to know what's their pain point. We would need more info and experts on that.
Yeah, great. I mean, that's where great businesses are born, from people firsthand experiencing their problems and going, I'm going to solve this because it's annoying me. So thank you, makes sense.
I'll jump in. When I look at your numbers, you're talking in your first year or year 0 versus year 1, you're looking between 50 and 100 businesses across those 2 years, but only $2,000 being marked against marketing in that space. What is your path to market there, and how are you going after and getting those users?
Yep.
So sorry. I'll try to answer, and maybe Irvin, you can add on to it. So I guess our plan with the marketing was sort of like doing a ground up approach. So like it starts with the 50 businesses that we have try our solution. And so for up until year 4 of our launch, we thought of like not doing as much marketing, so that we can focus on gaining that user feedback and also improving our app and solution before finally like releasing it in a larger scale, I guess, in the 5th year. And that's where the more marketing comes in.
Yeah, and to add on, so the marketing that we're going to approach for, it's more of a word of mouth type of marketing. We want it to be really, really small and tight, as in a community, so that we can get more feedbacks. That's the most important thing that we want to gain for. Yeah.
So as founders, are you already connected into those communities, or how do you get into those small, close-knit communities that you're talking about?
Yep, it's definitely first from our personal connections first, like those who we know are experiencing what we are experiencing. And that's basically 10 of our friends that are having small businesses, having like a team of 4 or a team of 5 employees within their small business. And other than that, we're going to go to conferences or like communities where they're also looking for this type of solutions.
Thank you.
Conferences must be free because I don't see them in your marketing costs. That aside, maybe I missed it, but what would be uniquely valuable for MYOB in acquiring this solution from you?
I guess it would be more like a combination of our unique value propositions. So it's mostly like the centralized platform is our main thing, and also the automation of generating the reports. I guess those are the 2 most unique points. Yep.
Great, thank you. And did you consider having a tiered pricing model? A lot of these types of solutions have sort of a freemium type. Yes, there we go. Yes, sorry, I missed that.
Sorry. Yes, I think this is our tiered pricing model as well. And yeah, freemium is part of it as well. Yes.
So I have a question around your support strategy. So you mentioned in the presentation that you're planning to deliver 24/7 support. Can you tell me a little bit about how you're planning to do that?
Yep. So it's more emails, chats, and community-based Slack messages for 24/7 support. But Slack messages are more to the premium priority ones. But for the free ones, basic and standards, it's going to be 24/7 emails and live chats.
And how do you propose paying for that? Because I noticed that in your budget, you didn't have any costs either for support resources or for what I would consider kind of support tech, like a chatbot or any kind of tech to deliver the support to your customers.
Yes, we would put that into our app development and maintenance cost as of now. It's more into the app development itself.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Do you see any risk, given it's 4 years really till you're scaling, that someone beats you to it?
definitely that can be a probability of having someone scaling up those giants like ClickUp.com or Monday.com. They're already giants at the first place. But that is the reason why we want to keep our market very small first, and not just Australia. That's what we're planning. We're not yet thinking of even going for worldwide launch or anywhere else. We're just wanting it to be useful, and people can understand that, okay, this is the solution that they want. The Australian market need this product for their project managements.
Yeah, so I guess what we're saying is like the community and support is like a large part of what we're advertising for a solution.
I understand. Thank you.
In terms of when you look at the competitor analysis that you got there and the amount of functionality that you want to cover off, that is a lot of work to deliver. Do you plan to leverage existing other solutions or integrate with other things, or is this, do we have to build out all of these things?
Definitely, we're going to integrate APIs because, but what we want is just that all the APIs would be within our system. So it's not going to go out. We're not going to integrate Slack. We have to go out of the application and chat in a Slack system. But we're going to integrate, if we say Slack, it will be inside of our application.
And to launch, would you need all these things, or where would you focus your efforts first?
Yep.
I guess all these features would be like the main features we would offer in our first launch. I guess what we're mostly focusing on is like all the stuff that is like in this table right now. So the task board, documents, KPI report, chat, and resource allocation. But after that, if the community needs it, or like it needs more functions, we'll definitely add on to that.
Thanks.
Thank you, team. That concludes your Q&A session with the judges.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. And now the judges, once again, will be moved to the breakout rooms.
Right. Thank you.
So up next presenting, we have team SVSM, and then that followed by the JAB. So when you're ready, team SVSM, you're welcome to share your screen.
Sorry, so just checking if you guys can see the screen at the moment.
Yep, we can see the screen.
Awesome.
think we're all back. We're back.
Great. Okay, so take it away, team.
Cool. Yeah, so just before we start, I'd like to mention that one of our teammates is actually sort of down and out with COVID at the moment. So he's in the call, but unfortunately he won't be able to present alongside us. Cool, so whenever you're ready, Sam.
Awesome. So kia ora, everyone. My name is Sam, and I'll be presenting today with two of my teammates, Ritam and Sumika. Together, we're Team SVSM. The point of sale is where customers and merchants interact to complete a transaction. Contactless payments help to keep the point of sale a quick and painless experience for both parties, but they come with costs for the merchant that are sometimes passed on to the customer. Today, we'll be discussing our app-based solution to make contactless payments more available, MyPOS. So contactless payments is something that most of us are probably quite familiar with. You place your card or smart device near the reader at a terminal, and they communicate via near-field communication, or NFC, to complete the transaction. Contactless payments are very common nowadays. In 2019, they made up 20% of in-person payments in New Zealand and 55% in Australia. Recent trends have been positive too, and have only accelerated since the COVID-19 pandemic started. This is in the context of the World Health Organization encouraging contactless payments to avoid touching shared surfaces. Businesses benefit from contactless. Customer preferences are shifting towards contactless payments, and merchants who offer this payment method can expect to experience over double the growth rates of those who don't. Cost is a key barrier that many businesses face here, however. One component of the cost are merchant fees that are determined by banks and paid or charged per transaction. Another fee that most businesses have to worry about is the cost of leasing a terminal, which is typically between 30 to 40 NZD per month. The cost of leasing a terminal is an area of focus for our solution. As things stand, if people want PayWave, then many businesses have to put their prices up. It's also clear that businesses are making decisions without easy access to data. There's an opportunity here to provide better access and insights into sales data. Initially, we want to focus on New Zealand. This is due to less use of contactless payments, higher fees, and a lack of similar products in the market. We would especially target small and micro businesses who might have less need for a fully fledged EFTPOS machine. This might include businesses like food trucks, local cafes, and taxi drivers. We estimate that there are up to 250,000 small businesses across New Zealand that could benefit from our product. I'll now pass on to Ritam to give a run through of our solution.
Awesome, so thanks, Sam. First up, I'd like to show you the mobile app. So here we have the sign-in page where employees can enter their ID and password to log into the point of sale interface. Okay, so we can now see all the items sold by our food truck owner, Raj. Once the customer has entered the order, we can confirm the payment and head to the main payment interface. So here we can see the sale price displayed on screen, and to simulate a PayWave transaction, we will press the enter button. So the way this will occur is analogous to how traditional EFTPOS terminals take NFC payments. So we can now see that once the transaction had gone through, we can actually see all the previous transactions on the history page. So over here, we can see that the new transaction has shown up. And in order to see the receipt for that transaction, we simply click on the card. Here you can see the receipt with the items, the date and time, as well as the card details. The app can offer all the features of a traditional EFTPOS terminal, such as credit card surcharging, refunding, and as well as splitting transactions. Now to show you the web app. This has been designed with the business owner in mind. The web app offers all the standard reporting functionality that you would expect from a point of sale app. Okay, so as you can see here, Raj is able to see all his transaction data and smart charts with useful information based on context. Raj can also choose to see the visualized data that he wants using the filters available here. If Raj is experiencing issues with MyPOS, then he's able to use the live chat functionality on this side. Cool. So the value add that MyPOS can bring over its competitors is the smart insights. Currently, the insights are generated using publicly available databases such as Statistics New Zealand and the New Zealand Market Mapper. The insights that MyPOS offers will only get better with time as our clientele grows. The web app for MyPOS is created using JavaScript and AWS Amplify. We chose JavaScript for its speed and efficient zero compile nature. The mobile app will be designed in React Native for its extensive documentation and libraries available, as well as its flexibility for testers. So here we have the proposed architecture. We're using 5 different AWS services. These are Amplify, the Key Management Service, Cognito, Dynamo, and Lambda. Managers and employees will be able to log into their respective platforms using AWS Cognito. For security and encryption, we are using the Key Management Service. All transaction data and insights are generated with AWS Lambda and stored in the Dynamo database. Amplify is used to develop the front-end interface and integrate with all the other AWS services in the backend. So MyPOS will also need to integrate with the major payment providers in New Zealand. So for now, these are Visa and MasterCard, as well as Apple and Google Pay. So MyPOS will provide the point of sale software and the virtual terminal for businesses. But the businesses themselves will have to link up with a bank that can provide them with the merchant facilities.
Sweet, thanks, Aridam. So one of the major pain points we identified is the cost of accepting and utilizing the FPOS systems. So the cost ranges from $40 to as much as $100 per month. So that's what our business model aims to mitigate. So from a preliminary model, we've made a revision to our business model. So MyPOS has a lack of dependence on physical terminals, giving us the opportunity to reduce costs and offer users a competitive alternative to their current systems. Another key advantage of MyPOS is the lack of requirement for hardware updates. So the reliance of the users themselves to provide their own up-to-date hardware through the smartphones that they use allows us to bring costs down even further. So we source our income through a minimal subscription fee of $15, but we give users the freedom to cancel whenever they wish. This subscription cost will be reevaluated at appropriate stages of the timeline to mirror the growth of MyPOS and other external factors such as inflation. So looking at our financial growth for the future, we estimate an approximate 1,000 monthly active users within the first 10 months after launching. However, we do predict low margins of profit and believe that it will take at least 2 years to break even. For MyPOS, we believe expenses include AWS services, marketing costs, as well as salaries for our app and website development team. We estimate a profit of about $180,000 by 2024. So looking at implementation, we believe in our first year of operation, we plan to spend the majority of it prototyping and developing our applications, during which time other stages of the process can be completed in order, such as licensing with MasterCard and Visa, beta testing, pre-sales, and finally launching. So when it comes to marketing MyPOS, our main focus is on organic methods with advertisements on major social media platforms such as Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, a home to many SME owners and operators. In fact, from our research, we found that most SME owners in Australia and New Zealand fall between the age of 45 and 59. While in Australia and New Zealand, the primary social media platform for users above 55 is Facebook. So we choose Facebook as our primary social media platform for advertising. We also have word of mouth between SME owners themselves, and also the opportunities to partner with an organization like MYOB with a strong existing clientele that can really help supercharge MyPOS's growth.
Cool, thanks, Samuka. So as stated, we'd start with the New Zealand market. But as the business grows, we'd look across the pond and assess whether the industry insights and low cost that we offer would be suitable to enter the Australian market. As our client base grows, the amount of data we have would increase and allow us to provide better insights, perhaps even comparisons between similar SMEs. Currently, we'd partner with Visa and MasterCard, but would look to expand this in the future to other providers like American Express and UnionPay. So when assessing the point of sale problems that SMEs face, we identified cost and digitization issues for small and micro businesses in particular. Our solution, MyPOS, is a software-based solution with a mobile app that addresses the cost of contactless payments and a web app that allows for business insights. With MyPOS, businesses can become competitive in a modernized economy. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you, team. We'll head straight on to the Q&A session.
Thanks, team. Great presentation. Quick question from me. Why hasn't this been done before? Does this technology kind of exist? Is it technically feasible to do this?
Yep, that's a great question. So currently in New Zealand and Australia, there are no players in this market, but this technology is being trialed in the UK and in Europe in particular, and there are startups that are sort of creating a payment interface for small businesses that is portable using a smartphone as your main device, and it uses the same NFC technology that we use to actually pay with the terminals, but now it's working in reverse to read payment information.
And is your intention, I have so many questions, I'm just going to steamroll over all my other judges and keep asking them. Is your intention to license that technology from those that are further ahead on the curve, or replicate and build it yourself?
So the idea is at the moment to build it ourselves and replicate it. So we, from our understanding, we've set aside about 3 to 4 months for development in order to get an MVP that we can present to MasterCard and Visa. So obviously MasterCard and Visa have their own criteria for what a suitable app using their technologies might look like. And we believe we're able to create that within that time frame. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, great presentation. Interesting idea. How do you overcome the privacy concerns that people might have? If they're essentially allowing, store owners or what have you to scan their credit cards with their personal phones.
Yep. Again, great question. I'm happy to take this a bit as well. So again, the privacy is obviously a key concern for us, and we want to make sure that we're again in line with all the legal requirements and the program requirements as far as Visa and MasterCard are concerned. We're obviously looking to implement encryption and tokenization, especially when dealing with credit card numbers and also privileged business information as well.
So the way that you are conceptualizing the architecture is that there'd be no way for, a store owner to actually store any of those credit card details, locally or anywhere that they could access them after the initial transaction?
That's right, yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
For me, just quickly, I may have missed it as I was taking some notes here, but the fees that you plan to charge for this service, what do they look like, and how does it you kind of offset that against, or how do you kind of, given that you've got to add that fee to the merchant service fees and other things that the retailer has to pay, how have you kind of come to that determination of the right price to charge for your customers?
Yeah, so I guess when breaking down the fees of contactless payments, as we mentioned, the one we're really focusing on is that terminal costs, leasing the terminal. With merchant fees, those are a big concern for businesses, but they're determined by banks and subject to government regulation. And so really when designing that subscription fee, we're looking to undercut the cost of leasing a FPOS machine. And so we mentioned it's $30 to $40 generally to lease that machine, as opposed to our subscription fee of $15, which also includes the insights and analytics.
Yeah, so just to add on to Sam's point as well, if you've seen our preliminary presentation, then I think we also talked about having a transaction fee. Again, after doing a bit more research, we realized that this was set by the banks, and therefore it's sort of out of our control, which is why we revised our model. But this is sort of how the transaction fee is broken down for merchants. So banks obviously have their own margins with the rates that they offer. And with contactless payments especially, the rates are a bit higher than your standard FPOS card payments. And again, the thing to note here is the interchange fee, which is charged by the bank that issues the cards. So again, not much to do here, but we can say that the New Zealand government has actually committed to lowering the fee that banks charge in the future. So it is looking good for SMEs to adopt this contactless technology, and yeah, and it's, I think, the right time for a product like this.
And I guess as you're taking on more different types of payments to different types of payment providers, how do you plan to kind of connect those two things together? Is there a switch in the middle where you know how to route the cards, or are you relying on a different payment gateway to provide that support for you?
Yeah, so the way that works, and with my understanding, is that whoever you set up your merchant facility with, so that would be, one of the banks in New Zealand, they charge you a network fee, which goes to the two main network providers in New Zealand, and they will route the transaction through and handle it on their back end.
Understood. Awesome.
If I understand correctly, you're essentially looking to, the primary focus here is to replace the terminal with a software solution. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And what functionality does the terminal have today that your solution won't have?
That's a great question. I think the main thing that we can't replicate is obviously having a card reader. And again, we thought about this when implementing this model, and that's sort of why we decided to restrict our market to small and micro businesses that might not have the large volume of transactions where you want people to have all the payment options available. And with a smaller business, they might be able to get away with buying a cheap card reader as well as to supplement the app.
Have you thought about how you could potentially partner with, someone like Square that has a card reader that just plugs into someone's, iPhone, and then combine that so they have a full solution?
Yep, absolutely. So we, from our research on Square, it seems like they don't have a big presence in New Zealand at the moment. And so, but they definitely offer a lot of the functionality as far as having an app on your phone that is used to connect with the Square terminals. Again, that would be a great solution for us if we were able to partner with them on bringing that hardware to the New Zealand market. But I think for us as well, it's important to note that the solution is software based, and this removes the need for any hardware upgrades, and everything can be delivered online through software updates.
I think just coming back briefly to that comparison between a traditional terminal and this sort of solution, is that a lot of our thinking was driven by sort of considering the future scenario and looking at the landscape where contactless payments are becoming more desired and becoming cheaper. we think having the lack of a card payment, being able to insert a card, for example, will kind of increasingly become less of an issue with our solution.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And just final question for me, any regulations that apply? Or compliance obligations that would be on your business based on what you know of the sector?
Again, that's a great question. From the research that we conducted, I believe the main regulations that we'd have to follow would be in line with FPOS New Zealand and the standard that they provide, and also, again, would have to apply to those Visa and MasterCard tap to phone programs as well, and make sure we're compliant with them. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
And thank you, team. That is time. And now we will once again move the judges to the breakout rooms for deliberations. Thank you very much, team SVSM.
Thanks,
team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks all. Good job.
Good job.
Probably no surprise that the final team is the JAB. So whenever you're ready, you're welcome to share your screen and prepare.
Just testing my mic. Is it audible enough for you guys?
Yep, sounds good.
Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
Thank you.
And just with regards to how this competition will wrap up today, so after the final presentation by the JAB, judges will once again deliberate their findings for the JAB, and then for all the teams, all 6 teams that made it into the finals. So we're not too sure how long that will take as of now, but hopefully it's going to be less than about 20 minutes, and then each judge will present 3rd, 2nd, and 1st place, and then you all will receive certificates later on in the week, in the coming week. So I'll keep you eyes good for that. And thank you so much for sticking by. I know that it's quite a long competition for everyone to sort of sit and listen to. And yeah, thank you for coming, guys.
Hey everyone, I think we're all back. Thank you for patience with us.
Thanks. The jab, start when you're ready.
Hey guys, so we are Team the Jab and we'll be talking about Jab inventory management.
Hey guys, I'm Jason. I'm the CFO of Jab.
I'm Alex and I'm the Chief Technology Officer.
Hi, I'm Bonnie and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer and we are Team the Jab from the University of Sydney. Digitalization makes or breaks a business. It can lead to competitive advantage or can backfire. Bad digitalization is when digital tools used by businesses are not integrated properly, resulting in wasted operational costs. Today, we will focus on digitalization in managing suppliers. Our solution, Jab for Inventory Management, targets Australian and New Zealand retailers, totaling roughly 100,000 retailers. This pandemic has presented many challenges. Lack of stock due to supply chain issues has resulted in consumers prioritizing stock availability, supply chain resiliency over loyalty. Hence, it is important for businesses to have sufficient stock in hand to generate consistent revenues. However, 46% of retailers are overstocking or buying the wrong products. 31% of retailers are negatively affected by rapidly changing consumer preferences. These relate to the fact that retail trends are hard to predict, posing a challenge when deciding what products to stock up on. The initial market we'll be focusing on are medium to large clothing retailers in Australia and New Zealand, consisting of 789 retailers, approximately 70% of the total retailing industry in Australia and New Zealand. In contrast to traditional retailers having too little stock, clothing retailers face excess stock, discounting to remove it, reducing profits. Speed of fashion trends adds to the pressure of a limiting stock. Consumers also expect price reductions. Cloud-based inventory management solutions are able to help all retailers effectively and efficiently control the amount and type of stock they have. So, introducing Jab Inventory Management, a software aimed at store managers and inventory managers. So, what is the rationale behind Jab, you may ask? At Jab, we noticed many inventory analytic software are disconnected from the retailer's ERP system, meaning the decision-making processes are less streamlined. For example, Relax is a software that provides detailed inventory planning, and AI uses data points such as historical sales data and weather forecasts to predict consumer demand, maximizing sales and reducing the need to mark down obsolete items. But it cannot be connected to ERP systems. Likewise, HeroCheck is a software that uses machine learning models to analyze and strategize images on websites such as Instagram, providing up-to-date fashion analysis. Future trends can then be extrapolated and retailers can use these findings to optimize their inventory offerings. Jab will use a similar machine learning. At Jab, we integrated key elements of Relax and HeroCheck into one inventory management software linked with retailers' ERP. The clothing industry currently does not have an established or suitable software that utilizes machine learning to understand market trends, nor they are capable of keeping up to the fast turnover rate in consumer tastes and preferences. Real-time industry data is required to provide perspective and predictive analytics for the best inventory decision-making. By combining analytics with ERP systems, retailers can gain competitive advantage from recommendations of new products and systems from learning from consumer trends. For the purposes of showcasing this software, we use a hypothetical clothing business. Now, let's move on to the prototype of Jab. The inventory section provides an overview showing the amount of stock, shipping process, and consumer trends. Machine learning in the order section estimates the time it takes for the product to ship to the current environment through looking at the weather conditions as well as other external factors. Using that estimation and the rate of sales, which is a historical inventory turnover ratio over historical sales, it can predict when a stock needs to be replenished in order for it to arrive in time before it completely runs out. Orders can be automatically placed, triggering a bot which reaches a certain amount of inventory set by machine predictions, or placed manually. This can be integrated with the retailer's enterprise resource planning softwares to automate accounting processes. Jab also uses internal customer data from businesses, as well as external consumer trends to recommend increases or decreases in stock in hand. Clicking into the product provides an in-depth trend analysis where the machine analyzes customer trends over the last year, and based on that, as well as general consumer trends, makes predictions of sales volumes in the next 3 months and recommends any changes in stock in hand if applicable. External machine learning takes into account social media trends, market research data, and the machine's understanding of the business's branding to help provide recommendations of products or changes the business can implement and the reasoning behind it. This gives the company competitive advantage and ultimately solves the issue of not being able to sell the right products at the right time.
Ultimately, JAB helps eliminate bad digitalization by combining functions traditionally on separate programs into one cloud package. It also allows an inventory efficiency where machine learning predictions allow businesses to have the right amount of stock at the right time. And this will allow them to gain competitive advantage through the recommendations of new products and services from our consumer learning trend models. So this is our development timeline. The first 2 months will involve intensive stakeholder engagement, research, and data collection in order to build a machine learning model. We'll be collecting requirements on the financial indicators of a healthy inventory and data about fashion trends, which will be used to develop the machine learning model. Our development includes back-end development of our machine learning model, as well as connecting with APIs and the cloud server. Front-end development includes the UI and the UX. We predict that the training of the model will take the majority of the first year, but we also expect that the machine learning model will continuously develop autonomously over time, and thereby increasing the value of the analytics as more consumers use JAB in the next few years. And this is a brief overview of our solution architecture. It will be hosted on the cloud using tools from the Amazon Amplify network. We'll be coding in the React environment using Amazon Lambda as the server host and Amazon RDS as our relational database. To create machine learning models, we'll be using Amazon SageMaker. We are also hoping to integrate with ERPs via APIs to streamline inventory and sales data to and from the company's database. And this will also help automate accounting activities and warehousing documentation to track documents over different softwares. JAB will be marketed through a targeted online campaign, complemented by strict advertising in office areas. We will have a competitive pricing strategy, offering a 3-month trial period to attract new customers and half price in the first year.
In terms of pricing models, we divide our customers into 3 main types: JAB Basic, JAB Premium, and JAB Premium Plus. Starting with JAB Basic, which provide you with real-time sales and inventory analytics. JAB Premium also provides integration accounting process and inventory ratio analysis with inventory management advice. With JAB Premium Plus, we will additional access to real-time market trends, analysis provided by business analytics, which enhance your future foresight of the needs of supply. In terms of user prediction in the coming 5 years, we assume after development phase in 2022, the number of users will increase steadily. Depends on phase of business, which 2% of Australia and New Zealand total market shares, around 1,027 users within the industry. Considering the development of the app, we are expecting break-even or occur in 2026, when increasing in customer numbers leads to revenue increase and reducing the overall research and development costs as the software is getting mature. A profit of 46,568 is likely to be achieved in 2027. Further financial analysis is attached in the appendix. To further break down the expense, app development occurs at the majority of the cost, followed by app maintenance and marketing. We are aiming at a strategy to increase the market shares by solving all the supply problems in one software. We are likely to witness a decrease in proportion of development and marketing costs as time goes by, while increasing costs in AWS holding and also app maintenance in the future. In summary, at enhancing supply chain management and solve the disconnection problem between retailers and suppliers, the JAB aims at utilizing AI and data analytics to capture the accurate supply demand required by retailers, maximize the profitability and minimizing the obsolete and inventory write-down expense. With JAB, we hope that supply resource can distribute effectively, reduce the food and resource waste due to inappropriate supply and distribute, and benefit entire society by effectively connecting the entire supply chain. Resources are always limited. With JAB, we can minimize the resource waste together and donate actual resources to regions where people actually need them, such as homeless and poverty region. With you, the suppliers and retailers, JAB believe we can make the world a better place together. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation, team. Now we will transition into the 10 minutes Q&A.
I'll jump in. I would love to know more about how the solution is going to help retailers avoid price reductions. I know that that's a real issue in clothing retail in particular.
So the main reason for price reduction is having too much stock. So through this, I guess this platform, the businesses can have just enough stock available. So like when it starts to reach low stock, they would like, that was when the stock is replenished to just the amount, the numbers required. So they're not going to have too much stock in hand and they'll always just have just enough stock.
And when we think about the supply chain for the fashion industry in particular, are you talking about stock in the store and ordering the stock from kind of a centralized national warehouse? Or are you talking about ordering stock from offshore suppliers? Because obviously the lead time on those two things is very different.
Yep, so we did take account in that. So as I said before, for each different product, it estimates the amount of time it takes for that product to reach the store. So for instance, if something is from overseas, it might take a month. If something is from, I guess, domestically, it might take probably like a week. Through that, the business would look at, not the business, the machine will look at how much, I guess, like stock is like sold out within that amount of time. And through like that calculation, they know like at which like point of the stock that have in hand, they need to be replenished. So for instance, if they find out that they have 40 units in total and it takes 1 week to get there, and in that 1 week they can sell out 10 units, then they will replenish when it reaches like the 10 units. So I don't know if that makes sense, if I said that as an example.
You know, perfect, that makes perfect sense. And how are you thinking about the source data for that real-time market data? Like that's obviously a pretty secret source if the retailers can get it and understand sales volumes of competitors, or, you know, why are we only selling 16 green knit jumpers a year with kind of next door selling 72? Like, how do you get that? What's the source of that? Or how had you thought about sourcing that market data, which is kind of hugely valuable?
So just asking, is this external market data or internal market data?
Not data from the customer, because obviously you get that through the sales volumes and stuff. I'm talking about supplementary data that adds the real kind of insight.
Yep, so I can answer that question. In terms of the external data related to the trends within the whole industry, we did look at one similar platform that's called HeroTech. They gathered their data through social media, actually. So they analyze pictures of, say, on Instagram, and they will stratify the images into different categories like sportswear, high-end consumer retailing brands, or even things like casual wear. And through that, they're able to analyze like different trends within the different categories. And obviously, with retailers in the fashion industry, different stores have different expertise in terms of what they're selling. So through analyzing those data, we'll be able to give the stores their most relevant sort of recommendations, most relevant prescriptive analytics for them to say, this is the type of good you should be selling in the next 3 to 6 months, or this is the type of what you should be reducing in the next 3 to 6 months because of, say, weather patterns or consumer taste and preferences, or because a celebrity has chosen to wear a specific product. Yeah.
Do you think you've gone narrow enough in your definition of your target customer to get a viable, accurate model?
I think so, because fashion in itself is a specific industry that we've chosen. Out of all the retailers, we believe fashion has a lot of similar trends among the different stores, whether that be due to weather trends, taste and preferences, or due to, say, even the pandemic trends. So things like that will allow us to create a model that is specifically catered towards fashion retailers. Whereas we've seen with other models, such as with Oracle or MYOB, a lot of the times the analytics are catered for the whole market itself, not specific for one industry, which makes it really hard for them to kind of have a targeted prescriptive analytics available for them. Whereas with us, I do believe that by targeting the fashion industry as a whole, we'll be able to make it very specifically tailored with their type of financial ratios that are needed, with their type of movement of inventory and goods and services.
Thank you.
Who are the stakeholders you were referring to earlier when you were talking about establishing the baseline for your machine learning model?
Yep. With the stakeholders, we're just planning to get the most of a overview look of what the indicators of a healthy inventory is. So those would include market researchers, different big companies, and we'll probably be happy to talk to the executives of, say, Uniqlo or Big W or other big companies that have a very well-established position within the market. We might also talk to ABS or maybe even EY Sweeney, who gathers a lot of data from different sources. Those will be the people who will be able to help us in the early stages of defining what is the specific type of ratios we need to talk about, what's the specific type of trends we need to look at, and what's the specific sources that will be giving us the most up-to-date and relevant analytics. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Different question. With your pricing model, did you think at all about taking an alternative pricing approach, maybe looking at a risk-reward model, given that, you know, two of the commercial outcomes you're trying to drive, one is reduced, you know, inventory wastage, and two is reduction in discounting?
Or I can take that. So for the pricing model, what we did was there's a appendix. I can quickly switch that. We did a competitive analysis. It's appendix 7. So what we got was that this on Netstud and Store IQ and Shippage. That's their monthly pricing, how they charge their customers. And the reason why we select our pricing model into 3 categories that we're thinking, because some of these functions are entirely, so if the customer wants to use the products, they need to get all the functions. When our pricing model, we're thinking, probably we can consider different needs and different requirements. And then we break down into 3 layers. And also we were further considering in the future after development or different phase, when the function extend or when we integrate more function, we might consider additional pricing model and we adjust our price based on the new situation after break even and etc.
So you didn't consider maybe giving away your product for free and then taking a share of the commercial benefit that your customers were able to create?
You mean at the early phase? Yes, we did. That's why in 2022 you can see that we are making significant loss at the beginning, considering we are offering
3-month free trial.
I don't think we made it clear earlier, but with the beta testing in our development timeline, that's a 3-month trial basically, and the testing period for us to test the market, and that will be the free trial period for the different retailers.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And I guess, you know, when we look at this, you've kind of flagged your market and your kind of customer base as being medium to large clothing retailers, which would be, you know, typically, you know, multi-employees with people with different roles. Within these organizations, who would you say is your target, you know, the buyer of this solution, and how are you targeting them?
So we did mention that our main target is actually store managers and inventory managers. So, and was the second part of your question, how do we target them specifically?
Yep.
Okay, so we said that we were going to do online marketing. So online targeted marketing. So if we're looking at, I guess, each like people's like different, like what they look at, like what they search online, as well as the knowledge of like each, I guess, like individual like online user, you would target those which have an interest in or are working in supply, logistics, or inventory, I guess, field, as well as like targeted street advertising. So specifically putting advertisements in locations where our market is likely to pass or look at. So for instance, I wrote office areas here, but obviously transport in, like, you know, those main city areas, transport marketing, I mean, transit marketing in those areas would also be pretty effective in kind of targeting and attracting those people.
Thank you. Just looking at the time, I think we've just hit the 10 minutes there as well. So thank you, team. Thanks for presenting that as well. Another good job.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job.
All right, thank you very much, team. And for the final time, deliberations by judges in the breakout room.
Just letting everyone know that when the judges come back, they'll also be announcing the winners and the final and the ordering. Just letting everyone know that the judges will be back with results in about 2 minutes.
When you're ready. Oh, actually, before the judges, if everyone can turn on their cameras, please. And so then we can see all of you. So just give you a quick update. Daniel will share some general feedback, and then Caroline will give some feedback and announce who's come in third place. Pip will give some feedback and announce who's come in second. And then lastly, Darren will announce the winner. So good luck to everyone. Daniel, I'll pass it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Shaylin. And thank you, everyone. I just want to say thank you from MYOB at AWS for entering the competition. We're so proud to be able to do this every year, and look forward to hopefully seeing some of you next year as well. Just a couple of comments. Number one, we are really, myself and the other judges were just really impressed with the quality of your presentations, the quality of the storytelling, the quality of the research that you've done. You were all very well prepared, very professional, very articulate. Really strong, in most cases, articulation of your value proposition, which segments of the market you were serving, what types of personas you were planning to go after. So really great focus there in terms of the target audience. Well thought through technical solutions, and in some cases some really great mock-ups and working demos of the solutions that you were pitching. And one of the other things I particularly liked was in most cases there was really strong both purpose-driven idea, trying to solve something with a higher purpose, as well as solving delivering some real commercial benefits and commercial outcomes, which is a great combination. In terms of just some general comments on things we'd love to see, a little bit more of, maybe just some higher energy. These are, some more energy, more passion, more kind of vim and vigor. Maybe a better understanding, a little bit more research around the competitive landscape in your respective areas. And then lastly, maybe just a little bit more around, a little bit more holistic on your business cases. So with that, I will hand over to Caroline to announce our first winner.
Brilliant. Thank you, Daniel. And yeah, just to reiterate kind of everything that Daniel said, we're super impressed. And a lot of the time we were not talking to or listening to you folks, we were debating and arguing, and honestly, really high quality. And so all of you, regardless of where you land in this, should be super proud of kind of what you've produced. So where we landed in the terms of the team that came third, and so I don't know if we don't have any background effects, but it should be a bit of a drum roll playing in your brains, was Abercrombie Partners from the University of Sydney and their stocked product. And so just congratulations. The things we really liked about this, the bigger purpose, and it was, seeking to solve a really complex global challenge around food waste. We thought you'd nailed the product market fit for the product. We thought you did a great, really well-structured presentation. I'll admit, in my notes I wrote, it was a little bit boring. So I think it goes to Daniel's, and it's probably a bit mean of my notes, but I think it goes to Daniel's point, like solving food waste. Imagine if you'd started with imagine a world with 20% less food waste, or some kind of hook or excitement that got us really engaged in what you were trying to solve. I thought that was the good to great, because it's all about how do you tell a story, how do you hook a narrative, how do you keep the audience listening. We really thought you had a strong tech understanding. You had understood the tech risks. There was good examples of the kind of that lean startup methodology, really good architecture and tech designs, which is one of the reasons you landed in third. We also liked, obviously, the interplay and the consideration of how this could work with MYOB and our product offering. The thing we thought, again, probably to Daniel's earlier comments, a little bit more thought around the go-to-market, the sales, the competitor research, because there's quite a lot of products out there in market that are seeking to solve this problem too, and finding that uniqueness to this particular product offering would have added, as I said, gone from good to great. But we really loved it. We thought you guys did a fantastic job, and so congratulations to the team and the people in Abercrombie Partners. Well done.
Thank you very much.
I think I'm handing over now to Pip. Pip, are you announcing number 2?
I sure am.
I feel like we need to clap or something. It feels weird, this virtual environment. So a round of applause for the Abercrombie Partners. Awesome job.
Yeah, really, really good. In second place is Team MAV, or MAVV, with Insight Intelligence. What the judges loved about your presentation and your concept was the way, there are a few things. So the way that you considered the ecosystem outside of social media for how you were going to acquire customers, and in particular, how that played into MYOB's channels. The approach that you took to the competitor landscape was very impressive, because one of the things that a lot of startups miss is that existing behavior is actually one of your biggest competitors. So the way that it's being done today, usually through Excel, that you called that out, that you noted what the value proposition your solution had on top of or over and above the existing methodologies, as well as then comparing to the actual competitors, was really nice to see. Love that you'd considered market validation in your timeline and the way that you'd incorporated moments to gather user feedback to inform your solution, and the personas that you'd clearly considered and developed as you'd gone about this. Would have loved to have seen a bit more passion for your problem come through, and maybe a reference to why you selected this problem and what it is about your own experience or your own interest that's led you down this path to pursue this. And I think that's a comment that probably applies to everyone. But overall, second place, really well done. Congratulations, team MAV.
Thank you so much.
And I will hand over for the first place announcement.
All right, thank you very much, Pip. And look, thank you to everyone again for participating in this whole program, and to the University of Auckland Case Club. I think it's been a great partnership over the last few years, and I've been involved in this for my third year now. So thank you to Shailin for managing it from our side of things, and thank you to Pip for contributing today as well. We, AWS are another great partner for MYOB too. So thank you all. For me, this was, it was a hard decision, but I think the team that stood out for us as the winner today was Team SVSM from the University of Auckland for the MyPOS pitch. There was a lot to do really well there. Look, I think that the quality of the content and the detail and depth that you've gone into to understanding that problem was a really thought out, well-researched piece. We've all felt that it was a very professional pitch. It had, I liked the fact that it actually tried to solve this problem and recognized that there were two parts to this problem to solve. First, the terminal, and then also the management application as well, that required two different solutions that were both demonstrated too. The fact that you actually also looked and talked about the complexity, not just to the merchants, but also to the end customer, and making that simpler and bringing in kind of that COVID overlay was good too. I think for me, as with I think a lot of the presentations today, I think that I did scratch my head a little bit about whether or not we could hit those monthly active user numbers in the timeframes that you talked about. I think that we've all kind of looked into these numbers, and we are hoping for that rapid acceleration. And I think that from experience, we're all going to see that it does take a little bit to get the movement going forward in product and get that momentum going. So I think a little bit kind of awareness, and you saw from the questions that we asked today, a lot around that marketing, that sales effort, that motion of getting and acquiring the customers is a lot of the job in this space, and a lot of winning your market share over time and being successful in the long run. But overall, it was a great presentation. We said it was professional, but we did think as well that there could be a little bit more enthusiasm and telling that story a bit stronger. Sometimes we did think that our financial services peers sometimes a little bit less excited about things. They're just really kind of plugging things away. But I think it went really well. So well done to the SVSM team and to everybody. Cool. So I think Shailin or
yeah. So if the judges can go back into the room, and then June, if you can put the winners with them, then we can take a quick winners shot, and then we'll be back in just to close up.
Awesome, doing that right now.
All right. Thank you.
Great job, everybody.
Thank you. Great jobs.
Right, so hopefully they won't be too long, and then we'll just give a very brief rundown of the conclusion of the ceremony, and yeah, should be all good. Awesome. It seems like everyone should be coming back now. So first of all, on behalf of the MYOB Digital Challenge team, so from Isabel and I, a huge congratulations to everyone who made it to the Trans-Tasman finals. I have competed in this competition before as well in the past couple of years, and it's not easy to come up with a solution to a very difficult problem, and especially to come up with a prototype. So it was really nice seeing all of your innovative problems and the ways you actually tackled the problem, or solutions rather. And a huge thank you to the judges who attended today that took time of your very busy schedules. And especially for Shaylin for all of his hard work, making sure that this competition is run smoothly, and just absolutely making sure that it's enjoyable for all the competitors as well. So a huge round of applause for the judges and Shaylin, virtually, I guess. And yeah, thank you so much. And Isabel, would you like to add any other further comments?
Not much to add. Once again, yeah, thank you for all the effort you put in. It was really enjoyable watching all the presentations. So very well done. You should feel very proud of yourself. And yeah, thanks everyone for putting in the time.
Awesome. And if you are a Auckland-based team, do look out for our future events at UACC, and also do get into contact with any of the judges or Shaylin if you are interested in knowing more about MYOB and what they do. And yeah, feel free to reach out to any one of us, and also your fellow competitors as well. I'm sure they'd love to connect with like-minded people as well. So yeah, all in all, thank you very much. It's been a long day, but we made it through, and congratulations to the winners.
And just before everyone does leave, so thank you, Isabel and Jun and the UACC team. We've been working with the club for 8 years now. Overall, we've had, I think we're up to 1,700 participants in total over that 8 years. And so well done to everyone to make it this far and get into the top 6. Again, the presentations were very good. Last thank you to all the judges, especially Pip, for joining us for that external point of view, and great that we were able to have someone from a partner that we work with so closely. So yeah, look, well done everyone. We will be in touch with regards to prizes, etc. But if you do have any other questions or queries, then feel free to reach out, and please do share your experiences as well, especially things like LinkedIn, because you should be proud of your achievements, and so share it as far and wide as you can. And I think that's a wrap for 2022.
I was just going to suggest if people have a minute, I could take a little group screenshot of everyone.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, is there a countdown?
I think that's everyone in the grid.
Sorry. While you're doing that, Isabel, I'll say that I'm just super proud. I'm an ex-Auckland University law and economics student. I think I graduated in 2004, which just ages me a little bit, but really proud to kind of reconnect and see the amazing talent that's coming out of University of Auckland in particular. Just obviously showing my Kiwi bias there, sorry, Aussies. But yeah, super proud team. You've all done a really great job. And I can't even imagine what I would have had to produce if I was doing this back in 2002, 2003. Yeah, let's just say you guys far outshine anything I would have produced 20 odd years ago. It's very impressive.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I'll do a little countdown. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Okay, yep, taken. All right, and hope everyone enjoys their evening.
Thanks, team.
Thanks,
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, cheers.